Hello folks, welcome to a review of passive noise reduction headsets versus Bose A20 versus Bose A30. My name is Nick, I'm an instrument-rated commercial pilot, and I've spent quite a bit of time using all three of these headsets, and here are my perspectives. Let's get this passive noise reduction headset out of the way first. Right? These really do the job. If you're just starting out, there's really nothing wrong with them, and they can take a lot of abuse. I got these from my flight school when I first started out. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I was charged a pretty heavy markup by the flight school. So the only note I would make here is go look on Amazon and go even onto Facebook Marketplace and look for well-kept used ones. Nothing wrong with them if they're still functional and properly sanitized. And these ear cups do keep a lot of the engine noise out of it. And then it's also got some sort of adjustment, typically on the top. The adjustment might be a little bit awkward. It might be like a knob twisting and tightening situation here, so not as easy to use as the A20 and A30s, but in terms of just core functionality, there's nothing wrong with passive noise reduction headsets. In fact, I would 100% suggest starting with one of these, right, until you're sure that you're going to spend a lot more time in the cockpit and you need additional functions such as Bluetooth and individual ear cup level adjustments that's offered by some of these more advanced headsets. So I still keep this set of headsets because sometimes I take passengers, and sometimes it's just good to have a solid pair of passive headsets, so you know that if the battery runs out with your active ones, you're still gonna be okay. With the passive headsets out of the way, let's talk about A20 versus A30. The A30s are successors to the A20s, and there are some improvements and some functional changes that may or may not be improvements. They're just different, so let's talk about them. They're both top hinged, as you can see from here, right? They're both top hinged. That's right. And the construction overall is a little bit more industrial with the A20s, and it's a little bit more elegant and integrated with the A30s, right? The A30s just look like a more polished product. But functionally, you know, with the top hinges, the A20s extend about this high, whereas the A30s extend just a little bit higher, maybe like 3/4 of an inch or about an inch higher or lower than the A20s. And also what I've noticed is that the top clamping force from the A20s is actually a lot stronger than the A30s, right? This is a lot more flexible. It's a much more gentler clamp versus the A20s, which I could definitely feel there's more clamping force, especially on extended flights. That's on the top hinge and fit. Their ear cups are very much similar. Even as I put them on back to back just now, I couldn't tell a difference, right? And in terms of noise reduction and the quietness, the A20s only have one level, which is on or off, right, by this button. And then it takes, I think, AA batteries, right? And it doesn't offer any sort of noise reduction level adjustments, whereas the A30s offer 3 levels, right? Low, mid, and high anti-active noise cancellation. So if you're flying a much quieter twin, let's say, or even a jet, then having this active noise canceling selection thing, you could turn it to low, medium, or high, depending on your needs. For me, I fly piston singles all the time, and I pretty much just leave the active noise canceling selection to high all the time. And depending on how your headset's set up, both my A20s and A30s have Bluetooth functionality. And you might be asking, like, why would I need Bluetooth, right? Well, it's not for me to listen to Taylor Swift while I'm on a long cross country or whatever, right? It's not even for me to listen to like a podcast or whatever. I find them to be very useful when your phone or your iPad is connected to ForeFlight. And sometimes ForeFlight gives you these alerts like entering runway 19 on your right. That's when you're like, okay, I'm there, and then let's say you're lined up to an airport and you already have the flight plan typed in there, but then it might be the wrong airport, and ForeFlight will tell you airport not en route, right? So alerts like that are pretty helpful. Sometimes your ForeFlight's set up to call out like 500, right? Or your altitude. And those sort of alerts are pretty helpful when you have the Bluetooth functionality. But when you're a student, when you're just learning to fly VFR and, you don't need all that Bluetooth functionality, it's not the end of the day. It's not a bad scenario to have just the passive noise canceling. And with regard to A20 versus A30, I find them functionally to be very similar. But on my headsets, I have two different plugs, right? I have the twin GA plugs on my A20s, and I have the LEMO, I believe this is 6-pin plug on my A30s. Because when I was doing my instrument rating and as I was preparing for my commercial ticket, I got into a co-ownership or partnership or a plane club that has a really sweet panel, which I'll drop a picture here, that takes these LEMO plugs, right? These 6-pin LEMO plugs. And you can get adapters to fit onto these, to fit onto this jack and turn it into these GA jack as well. So that's the only difference between jack-wise between the A20s and the A30s that I have. And you can, of course, get them configured in different ways. Overall, I'd say for longer flights that are a few hours long, where you don't need to always swivel your head, look up and down and all that, the A30s are definitely more comfortable. But for flight training, for doing approaches and just speeding about locally, I actually find the A20s to be a lot more secure as I tilt my head down and write something on the clipboard and raise my head up. These fit a lot more securely. The A20s fit a lot more securely than the A30s. And I don't have a huge head, so the A20s with this level of adjustment fits me just fine. But of course, if you have an extraordinarily large head, okay, I shouldn't say that, but if your head's just like, you always wear the biggest sizes caps and hats, then probably the A30s will offer less clamping force as well as this additional adjustments on the side, and those are probably better for you. In every other regard, they are pretty much equal, right? The A30s look badass, but that's subjective. And the 3-level noise adjustment, active noise canceling adjustment doesn't make sense for me because I just leave it on high all the time. So functionally, they are really similar, except with this Limo plug, if I were to go online and get another Limo microphone plus a plug set, it'll be like a few $100s. And at that time, I just got these A30s at a good deal, and it's already come with a Limo plug. So I thought, okay, I'll just shell out a little bit more money and get the A30s and experience what that's like. And it does give me the extra comfort on these long cross countries. The bottom line is I will be selling my A30s because my mission has changed. I don't do super long cross countries anymore. And when I do it in quieter twins or quieter pressurized planes. And in that case, I might be looking to get something else, which I'll talk about in another video. So I will personally be selling these A30s and keeping the A20s just because they're a lot cheaper and they offer 95% off. Well, actually, for my purpose, 100% off what the A30s offer at a much cheaper price. And I don't quite care about the look and appearances of these headsets all that much. So to me, the A20s are still going to be my workhorse. What am I going to replace the A30s with? I actually got a pair of consumer active noise canceling headsets, right? The ones that I got, which I'll talk about in another video, are headsets that you can use for your regular meetings, for listening to music on the road. And I simply just need an adapter that's essentially this bottom part with a mic and also with a GA twin plug, right? And that adapter hopefully will turn my consumer grade active noise canceling headsets into an Aviation headset. And again, like I said, since my mission has changed, if I do need to fly in a twin for an extended trip, I will be using these consumer grade rechargeable headsets, and I will do a video once I get them and test them out and post here as well. Leave a comment if you have questions on more granular comparisons between them, or if you just have any sort of questions or comments in general. And I know that I didn't go too in depth into the audio performance, the various design constructions and all that stuff, but you can find these stuff online, right? You can find all that stuff online. And what I want to offer is really a very honest opinion of the A20s versus A30s. And my conclusion is that if you're not doing extended trips, if you're not a person with really large head, I don't know the politically correct way of saying that, but if your head is not extraordinarily big, and if you are not doing super extended, longer flights, A20s will do just fine.